remembers every single thing they've ever seen. Everything. If you think this is bullshit, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a car accident or something that, when you remember it later, feels like it took 10 minutes instead of 10 seconds? Like it happened in slow motion? I bet you have. This is because your brain filled it twice, once with your regular memory and at the same time with your fight or flight memory camera. Most people's fight or flight memory only kicks in when they're experiencing a traumatic event. Mine has been filming non-stop for my entire life. I remember the license plate number of the car parked in front of my mom's when she dropped me off for school on the morning of November 14th in 3rd grade, MDL 5588. I remember what my teacher was wearing that day: green dress, bandage on her left hand. I remember the questions on the geography test. Of course I scored 100%. My parents sent me to school only because they didn't want me to be socially maladapted, not because I was learning anything new there. Once doctors figured out what was going on inside my head, any chance at me having a normal life was over. They'd asked me to memorize pi to 5,000 digits, but what they called memorization is, to me, simply looking at something and describing it afterward. Tying my shoelace is more work for me than recalling your American Express number card 5 years after you showed it to me over drinks on that night when there was a waning crescent moon setting directly into the skimming net beside the swimming pool heater that was set at 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Tell me how you get to work each morning. Obviously you know your route. It's not a big deal, and if you told it to me 50 times, it would be the same every time. Why wouldn't it? That's how my memory works. It's no different than you telling me your daily route to the office. Languages are easy. We all learn to speak them without even being aware of it. I learned Navajo in a week. I now speak 12, but it's not much fun being a freak when you get right down to it. For instance, it doesn't help my dating life. Once a person learns about my condition, they immediately assume I'm monitoring them, and they get paranoid, like they're so interesting. People are so similar, they could be identical. The other thing about remembering everything is the sad knowledge that almost all of what's in my head is unnecessary junk. To get through life, you barely need to remember anything, let alone every single word of a 5,000-word article on the reintroduction of protein into the post-World War II Japanese diet, or all of the end credits for all of the Star Wars movies. When Google came along, I thought finally everyone would feel what it's like to be me, but all it did was make people remember less. Having said that, I have noticed that when people look something up on Wikipedia, they tend to actually remember it. I'm guessing that a certain kind of curiosity triggers your brain to secrete chemicals that cement your newly learned facts in your brain. I actually went a bit crazy in my late 20s and started avoiding any situation where I'd see words, not just books and magazines and street signage, but words in the online world as well. Imagine remembering every scattershot piece of junk you've ever seen on even the most basic trip down the rabbit hole. You'd go mad. I thought the cure for my soul was to focus on nature, plants and animals and soil, but without words and language to occupy me, my brain started overcompensating. Soon the landscapes and buildings around me started to explode faces and draw her, which I did. And that's the day I became an artist. Nobody blames an artist for noticing stuff. Chapter 2. Radiation. 2 years ago this April, I held my 40th birthday brunch on the back deck. It was sunny and just warm enough outside that if all my friends wore down vests and my wife, Lucy, supplied a few blankets, we could pretend the weather was warmer than it really was. By April, you were basically desperate for some heat and light. There were 8 of us, all around the same age, as well as a few kids who were parked in the TV room. It was a good gathering, and I was feeling grown up in a way I find rare. Look at me, I'm having a cosmopolitan 40th birthday on the deck of a home that has an $800,000 mortgage. I'm truly an adult now. A quick note about Lucy. Everything my wife does has to be perfect, like a traditionally brined and roasted turkey at Thanksgiving. Also, she has no internal coping mechanism for when things go wrong. Since all of us were more or less the same age, we spent some time discussing the meaning of turning 40. Nathan, our official web-savvy friend, said, "Craig, if Lucy gets hit by a bus, you'll be way too old to find a date. You'll need to check out the..." Oh goodness, I'm so sorry if I butcher this. Azerbaijani bride websites. You'd be amazed what's out there. Lucy said, "Nathan, don't put ideas in his head." Seriously, Lucy, we should check one out later. We'll all choose your replacement. You scallywag. Claire, our official witty/cynical friend, then added, "Craig, you'll have to be on the lookout for gold diggers. The smart ones hang around vintage car events. Let's be honest, if a woman compliments a 40-something straight guy on the color of his car, in his head he's already moving her into a love nest." She took a sip of her beer. "I feel like I should be charging you all actual money for that piece of advice." Our friend Noah would normally have been all over this, but he wasn't. Lucy was the first to notice. "Noah, you look a bit peaky today. The kid's keeping you up at night." Noah glanced at his wife, Jeannie, and then at all of us. "Well, we've been meaning to tell you this, but no time seemed like the right time, I guess. I'll just say it. I've been getting radiation treatment for thyroid cancer. They say I'm going to be okay, but I have to apply this pale green makeup to my throat so it won't look sunburned red, and it makes my flesh look like rubber." Lucy was horrified. "Noah, I'm so sorry. No, don't be. Jeannie and I are at peace with things. We have every confidence I'll make it through okay." Silence. Noah finally said, "I shouldn't have dropped that on all of you. Tom, tell us a joke to change the tone here." Tom, our slightly on the spectrum scientific friend, obliged. A New Caledonian crow, a Great Pacific octopus, and Prince Harry walk into a bar. And then, that's when the gods shone down. Lucy glanced up at the sky and said, "Oh look, it's a bald eagle." A bald eagle. In Alaska, I guess they're common, but down here, they're pretty rare. Mother Nature had decided to change the subject. "I grew up thinking they were almost extinct," said Claire. "I think they almost were," said Tom. "Back then, they were probably grinding them up to make paper towels or automotive paint or something." "It's so majestic," said Jeannie. "It sounds so corny, but look at it." And it was indeed majestic. We stood on the deck watching the eagle soar, making ooh and ah so peaky. How was I supposed to know? We returned to find the others making idle medical chit-chat. Beer for all, I announced. I can't drink at the moment, said Noah. Right, of course. He had been drinking soda all day. More silence. Look, said Tom, the eagle's coming back. It was headed right for the same cedar tree. Oh, craps, Tom said. Swoop, shriek, and off went Mr. Eagle with a second crow chick snack. Everyone kind of stared at each other. Then Claire's daughter, Simone, 11, came out on the deck. Mom. Oh, goodness. I don't know. It's okay. Mom, what's double anal? Howard said I should ask you. My son, Howard, 14, was going to get a thrashing tonight, but thank goodness Simone arrived when she did, because it was very funny, and it broke the mood. We'll talk about it in the car headed home, sweetie. Then Simone saw the eagle. Mom, Dad, look, an eagle. Yes, our eagle was headed back to the tree. Simone, her mother ordered, get back inside and watch some more TV. I want to see the eagle. At this point, the youngest 3 children burst out the kitchen door, wondering what we were all looking at. An eagle, said Simone. Up there. Cool. Lucy then did something she'd once heard would distract people from something bad, which was to drop a large ceramic or glass object onto the floor. She deftly flicked the $300 Spode water jug onto the deck, where it shattered just as baby crow number 3 was plucked. It didn't work. Mom, that eagle just stole a baby chick, Simone yelled. The 3 youngest children shrieked and burst into tears. F it, I said. I'm getting the scotch. Anyone want some? All 8 adults, Noah included, said yes. Oh, snap. Chapter 3, Splenda. My name is Olivia. I'm 18 and I have cystic fibrosis, but I'm okay with it. I grew up in a scary farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. I say scary because my family is super religious and I'm not. I never was, which has to be genetic or something. My parents believed God would fix my CF, and they only took me to the hospital when I genuinely couldn't breathe. When I was 14, I had a note prepared and slipped it to the ER nurse. Social services found a lawyer, Adele, who took on my case pro bono, and she got me out of that scary hillbilly dump. I'm now into my second life, my real life. I'm realistic that it's not going to be a very long one, and I'm okay with that. I live in a basement suite, not the best for CF, mildew. And I have proper medical care, and people come check in on me all the time. I may never again feel as free in my head as I do now. I'm drunk on freedom. My place is in a neighborhood that's neither urban nor rural. The only time you ever hear about it is when the news crews interview local parents who can't believe whatever horrible new thing one of their children has done. Things like throwing caribou heads off the freeway overpass. My neighborhood is like that street at the end of Cary, where cars drive backwards and bloody hands reach out from the soil to pull you to hell. I just saw Carrie for the first time last week. Go easy on me, I'm a pop culture blank. I have 5,000 movies and TV shows to catch up on. I was born on 9/11, which freaked out my parents, who I think secretly viewed me as a demon child. On my 10th birthday, there was all sorts of 9/11 anniversary buzz, but instead of throwing a birthday party, my parents took me to church in the strip mall beside the auto mall that had just closed down. I remembered everyone staring at me like 9/11 was my fault. At the same time, they seemed to Ghostbusters came and interviewed me for 4 hours. Another reason why I fled. But I try to forget about all that now. Imagine feeling 100% alive every moment of the day. Maybe that's how animals feel, or trees even. I sometimes stare at the plastic bag tree, invisible from my apartment's ceiling height window, and marvel that both it and I are equally alive, and that there's no sliding scale. You're either alive or you're not, or you're dead or you're not. A drag queen named Trash Blanche lives in the other basement suite here. I like her even more than my social worker. She comes over and runs the electric tumbler up and down my back to loosen up the mucus in my lungs. I have to do this sometimes twice a day because it lessens the chance of airway infections. I've also been taking an antibiotic called, azithromycin for years. It makes my burps taste like floor cleaner and I hate it, and I want to be Alanis Morissette and get off antibiotics. I want to be part of the world, your world. Yesterday, out of the blue, is it trash or trashe? I think that you would have to have trash. Gave me a pair of Lana Del Rey knee socks. She likes to take care of me. I think just because she's a nice person. Her boy name is Eric, and if Eric doesn't shave for 5 days, he turns into a handsome, overweight guy. But when he turns into trash, it makes the whole boy-girl thing confusing, because she's equally convincing as both. Trash is confused by me too, always trying to figure out if I'm straight or not. I tell her I'm straight because I am, but I also tell her that mostly I'm traumatized because I was raised as a mandatory never nude. I just learned that term a month ago. Gosh, how embarrassing. I always figured I was going to be dead before I ever mated with a guy, so who I'm into was moot. I like it when my doctors are realistic with me, but I know they're lying when it comes to my lifespan. They tell me I'll live to 35, but because my parents never allowed me treatment when I was younger, I lost probably a decade of my life from all the wear and tear inside my body. I suspect people talk about me the way they do about dogs. Oh, you know, those large-chested breeds like Bernese Mountain Dogs only make it to 6 if you're lucky. Mutts make it to 10 or 11. I'm one of those short-lived specialty breeds. You know, those Olivias only go to 35 if you're lucky. Trash says it would be a shame if I died a virgin, but she doesn't want me throwing myself away on somebody like I'm a skank. Skank is another new word in my vocabulary, and I love it. Skank. It sounds like what it is. The people upstairs from us are a methy tattoo artist and his girlfriend, who most definitely is a skank. I truly don't think I'm a skank, but I don't want to die a virgin either. Still, the biggest pleasure of my day right now, besides catching up on all the movies I missed growing up, is stealing Splenda packets from fast food places. Handfuls at a time. I have a drawer full of them, and I like to stare at them. I want to have them near me. They're the opposite of the house I grew up in. Scientific, measured, clean. And if I mix them with some water and swallow them with my antibiotics, my burps smell like cheap vodka instead of floor cleaner. When you're me, you take what you can get. Also, sorry if the angle is a bit different. I had to free up some space on my phone. Okay. R.H. Null, Chapter 4. same time. You're more likely to win $250 million in the Powerball lottery than to have our blood type. If nothing else, when I walk down the street on even the worst day, I can say to myself, Lorraine, your very essence is rare. You're a unicorn. Of course, that's total BS. RH Null has never done anything for me except complicate my life. Universal donor blood doesn't work on me, so, for example, I've always driven wimpy cars so that I won't be tempted to go too fast and crash. And I wasn't allowed to ride a bike. What if I got hurt and needed a blood transfusion? At 18, when I was legally old enough to donate blood, all manner of doctors from around the world turned up on our doorstep. I knew they were coveting my blood for research purposes, but before they asked me for a donation, they always tried to become my friend. 2 doctors took me and my parents to swanky hotels for dinner, wooing us with luxury. 2 others were so earnest I had to flee. I never want to hear this line again. You owe it to humanity. Then came Stefan, hot and mustachy, and with a French accent. He was from a town called Montpellier in southern France, and he flew all the way just to see me. My parents had gone to Florida for a vacation, leaving me home alone, so it was only the 2 of us. There was genuine chemistry. I look back at 18-and-a-half-year-old me and cringe, but when it was happening, I thought I was queen of the world. Stefan made blood type sexy and fun. Oh my goodness, I just reread that previous sentence and I sound like a vampire, but it's true. And after he proposed and I accepted, we drove around the country searching out other blood freaks. My parents were thrilled. On those trips, I got to meet chimeras, people who aren't at all what they appear to be, like this lumberjack guy named Lars from Spokane, fully equipped with beard and dick and balls, who was, according to his blood work, a woman. And supercentenarians, people older than 110, whose blood Stefan was studying to try to figure out how they got there. I felt like a member of some kind of super club. After Stefan and I got married, I moved with him to France, and soon enough I was pregnant. Then Kelly was born with RH Null too, which made me feel way less alone in the world. Life was good. Stefan was part of the international blood brokering universe, and he traveled a lot. Talk about an esoteric business. Depending on where you live, there are all kinds of rules on what you can do with your blood. Dude, the AC just started blasting. I'm so sorry. I'm not turning it off. This video's taking a long time. In some places, selling your blood is likened to selling your body parts and is forbidden. In others, it's a free-for-all. It's hard to explain, but blood is like diamonds. It's worth nothing and a crap ton at the same time. I was proud that Stefan kept roaming the globe searching for rare specimens, and I loved the French lifestyle and that my daughter, as soon as she could talk, was fully bilingual. On Kelly's 9th birthday, it dawned on me that Stefan had somehow changed. It wasn't a big, cosmic revelation. I was icing Kelly's cake, and I thought, Stefan spends more time away than he ever used to. That's all, but it was definite, and that night I tried calling him at the office, but couldn't get through, and he missed the birthday cake, which isn't as big a deal in France as it is in the States, but still, come on. He came home late that night and said he forgot because he was zonked after flying back from Cairo. rosemary alone. I was looking for a chicken manure fertilizer I had bought a few weeks back and went out to the small barn that served as our garage. I walked directly in on Stefan handling an insulated cooler. I walked directly in on Stefan handing an insulated cooler to a man in return for a wad of euros, like we were in a mafia movie. There was no possible excuse for this. After Stefan's client was gone, we met in the kitchen. Out the window, I could see Kelly bouncing on the trampoline with her friends. "Steph," I asked, "I've been donating blood at your request to do my bit for science, but was money the actual reason?" He took too long to answer. Stefan had evolved into a black marketeer in blood, and there are an astonishing number of very rich and very sick people in the world who will pay almost anything for rare blood types, or for blood from people with specific antigens or mutations that protect them from AIDS or malaria or you name it. "Stefan, why did you marry me?" I asked. Sad. He was using her the whole time, that's it. Chapter 5. I think this will be the last chapter that we do. We'll do about 5 chapters every time, if that works for you guys, okay? Okay, good, that's good. Chapter 5. Thong. There's this joke about 9/11 that you're not supposed to tell because you still can't make jokes about 9/11, but I'm going to tell it anyway. Knock knock. Who's there? 9/11. 9/11 who? You said you'd never forget. I was asleep with the flu for all of 9/11 and only woke up hours after the attacks were over. I've noticed that a lot of people lie about where they were when 9/11 happened. Unemployed West Coast night owls were all magically awake at 6:45 a.m. on September 11th. And then a friend phoned me to say a plane crashed into the North Tower. By the way, why the heck would anyone do that? And then, just as I turned on the TV news, the next plane hit the South Tower. I've heard this same story from so many people. I wonder if what's really happening here isn't so much a cosmic lie as it is some kind of necessary myth we need to tell ourselves so we feel like one of the gang. Super FOMO. You can't figure out who's speaking here yet, can you? Am I a male or female? Am I old or young? Am I in a burqa? Am I in a wheelchair? Or am I an average guy named Logan who sells Roundup glyphosates and is currently wearing a raspberry red thong bikini under my jeans because I like the way it makes me feel like a hot teenage girl? Well, yes, that last one is me. Hi, I'm Logan. I sell poison for a living. As a consequence, I have had to learn how to lie to people. This stuff is harmless. It's practically a vitamin. Here's another universal lie. Maybe you've heard it yourself. Ask anyone you know how their trip to Las Vegas went, and they will all say, "You know, I don't really gamble much, but before leaving the airport, I played the slots one last time and won. Always $150. I don't know about you, but when I go to Las Vegas, any money I put into a slot machine instantly disappears into a deep, flaming chasm of dead wealth. Yet everyone else makes $150, sometimes even $200, before cabbing to the airport. This one lie is so universal that it makes me wonder if it is encoded into our reptile brain. But wait, I bet your brain froze back there after you read the words raspberry red thong bikini. I can understand that, especially combined with feel like a hot teenage girl. I think a lot of you now assume I'm gay, but I like to think of myself as as a hetero F machine. Surprise. Women go insane over the thong. Honestly, if you're some poor incel out there, just pop into Forever 21's lingerie department, buy a few thongs, then hit the bars wearing low-rider jeans so gals can see the strap at the top of your butt. Do it, bro. Real. That's all I'm gonna say. My older brother's a gay drag queen. No thong for him. He has to duct tape his dick into his butt crack for hours on end while wearing wigs that roast his skull like a toaster oven. And he won't lift anything heavier than a family-sized tin of beefaroni so he doesn't get man arm. Usually, in a family of male children, it's statistically the younger brothers who are gay, but Eric was the eldest of 5 boys and our only Fruit Loop. He's okay with me saying Fruit Loop, by the way. We even tried to pun on that to create his drag name, Fruit de Loop. Not so good. In the end, Eric went with Trash Blanc. You guys see what's happening here? We're getting connections throughout the book. The rest of us brothers are bean bowls, but Trash is 125 pounds overweight. She looks like one of those women in horn-rimmed glasses in those old Far Side cartoons. She figures she'll spend the rest of her life circling the continent, performing in dive bars and couch surfing until I die from type 2 diabetes, compounded by a sad heart that never even got a chance to be broken. Trash wants nothing more than to not be alone, but she created this fierce drag persona that I think scares people away before they get to know her. Me, forget being with someone else for now. I'm way too into sex, and I don't get monogamy, and I don't get forever and ever. I see people throwing marriages away because someone slept with a personal assistant or a tennis pro. Why would you do that? You're so morally superior that you can't handle a fling. The face I'm making is disgust, I'm sorry. Grow up. Not everyone wants to be who they're supposed to be 100% of the time. Then don't get married to someone who is like that. Talk with your partners, people. Everyone has hidden selves just waiting to pop out. It's who we are. So, remember what I said about knowing how to lie because I sell poison. There's also a truth I haven't told, which is that 21 years ago, I killed a guy. Another thing you weren't expecting, right? There was blood all over the place, mine and his, but I got away with it. And everything would still be fine if Trash hadn't let it slip at the Christmas dinner table that she sent her DNA off